fracking is going to become a very important topic. Kamala Harris, in the beginning of the campaign, had said, or much before that, as vice president, had said she's going to ban fracking. Realizing that she's going to lose it, she then started saying that they're not going to ban fracking, but people in Pennsylvania really are not believing her. And so that could really turn the
That's correct. You know, a lot of people consider her. She has changed so many positions, like a chameleon. They just keep on changing positions. So, like fracking, change the position, and sanctuary cities, so many places. Medicare for all.
Yeah,
you change the position. So people in Pennsylvania are not going to forget, but it's going to be very tight. You know, it may be another broadcast you have for in 2 hours or so. At that time, it will be a lot more clearer.
Absolutely.
Because the Trump campaign is quite confident that they may win Pennsylvania by 200,000 to 300,000 votes.
Okay, whatever the situation, should it be adverse, will Trump concede?
Should it be adverse? If it looks like it's not, there is.
He didn't concede last time, Kelly.
If it's 50,000 votes or something like that, and the lawyers, I told you, they have a ton of lawyers. And the lawyers
more than 5,000? More than 5,000?
More than 5,000. Now 500 per state.
500 per state. Okay.
That many lawyers they have. So if the lawyers say, it's legit, then he's going to concede. But we're not looking forward to that.
Not looking forward. Okay.
That's not going to happen.
Before I toss back to Pooja, the numbers over here on the swing states, it's still a toss-up. But Virginia is important because Virginia is all blue. Right now, it seems like Trump is leading. Could it flip or not?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I would like it to be. But I don't think Virginia can flip. I know Virginia.
Because if Virginia flips, you don't need swing states.
That's right. No, Virginia is not going to flip. I would very much like to, but it's not going to flip. I know that.
Okay. It's not going to flip. It's still early to call the elections. We'll wait it out. The numbers that are coming out and the projections are just 15% of the votes having been counted, in which in certain swing states, Trump is leading, in some, Kamala Harris is, but it's just 15 to 16% of the votes that have been counted. So actually it's blowing just as expected. The only thing is the exit polling from CNN itself said that the number one issue in Pennsylvania was economy. That again, it's something where
economy is the number one issue in exit polling in Pennsylvania. You may have a Trump victory speech by one.
Geeta, I have to come in here and ask you about what the American media is saying. American media is saying that if there could be about 65% chance of Donald Trump winning. What do you say to that? What is Shalabh Kumar saying to that? Do you think that's still just a projection? Is it looking very likely like that on the ground?
I'm not that excited.
Montana, Utah, red states again. You can hear the screams over here. Red states going to Trump. They're excited. Shelley is not.
I don't get excited over
over red states going to Trump.
If it's close.
Yeah.
If it was Colorado.
Absolutely.
Then again. To Trump.
That's a flip.
That'll be a flip or that's a close.
Yeah, that's a close. Yeah.
So the other states we have to.
So that's closing in. That's Trump closing in on Pennsylvania.
I don't get excited.
All right, Geeta, you keep tracking all the latest on that. Loving the excitement, enthusiasm, the curiosity, but also a certain caution. Those who know elections over the years will tell you never to celebrate. Perhaps still it is absolutely confirmed that your side is winning because we've seen tables turn as well. Now, remember, our colleagues on the ground and our friends have been consistently mentioning about swing states. And there are 7 swing states where the elections could go either way. That's what has happened in the past few years. Let me take you through some of them. For example, let's take a look at Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania. Remember, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, these are important cities. And here, it shows Donald Trump, at least in Pennsylvania, massive edge about 49.8%. But Kamala Harris is still close. So it's neck and neck here. While he is almost touching the 50%, look how close this is going to. If I can zoom for the viewers here, look at that. 49.8%, 49.3%. So I correct myself that this is definitely going to get very interesting. What about Georgia? Again, remember, important historic areas, but this is where Trump again is showing a bigger lead. Look at this. Let me help you look at this more closely. Donald Trump, 52.5%. Kamala Harris, 46%. This is why they are called swing states for a reason and how interesting this can get. Let's take a look at one more. Arizona or Wisconsin. In fact, Wisconsin, all our friends on the ground have been talking about. Again, so close. Look at that. 49%. And it's changing as I speak. Kamala Harris has taken the lead. It shifted while I was talking about it. Kamala Harris, 49.8% in Wisconsin. Donald Trump, 48.6%. That is why everyone is slightly cautious, because these 7 states can actually decide and turn the tables for either candidate, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. And that is why they are glued to their screens, waiting for if they can possibly pop the bottle of champagne this time. On that note, I'm taking a break. I'll have my cup of coffee this morning. You also take a breather, but after a very short break, we tell you all about elections. There are big faces that have come in. So let's go across on the ground and get a live update, because India today for this crucial election is right there on ground zero to help you understand what is it looking like. India Today's Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan joins me. Geeta, what a crucial moment for the USA. What are you picking up? What is happening right now? And US elections are very different from how elections are held in India. So do tell us about what is the process, procedure and the sentiment on the ground. Are there long queues?
Well, the queues are almost over, Pooja, because polling is over, and you don't see the kind of queues that you see in India only because of the population difference. But yes, they did come out and vote. A lot of enthusiastic voters. The problem over here in the United States of America is low voter turnout, and getting people to come out and actually vote is a challenge. However, Republicans are more mobilized, they're more organized, and they do come out to vote. It's a massive democratic challenge to really get the Democrats out to vote. We do not really know what the numbers really say. And while President Trump is leading, that certainly does not mean that he's winning, because Pennsylvania has not been called. He has done well so far, but it's all red states or all blue states. We have to wait for the swing states and the results from the swing states. And even in the swing states, we do know that there are certain states that are going to go Trump's way. It's Pennsylvania that could make a huge difference in who is going to get to the Oval Office. I'm here. We are the only Indian channel to be at the Republican Watch Party, and it's a very interesting forum. We have all the Republican supporters right here behind me who've come to watch the election results. There are massive screens that have been put up. And then there is a stage that is set up where President Trump himself will be coming to address his supporters, whichever way the results go. For now, most of the supporters over here very, very enthusiastic, very positive, but they're also a little fearful of what could happen. They haven't forgotten what happened last time around. And so they're waiting for the results. All eyes on Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, because of certain problems with regards to barcodes, the judge allowed 2 extra hours of voting. So Pennsylvania is yet to close. And once that happens, counting will begin. Meanwhile, we're looking at a lot of states that are coming in. And for now, Trump is leading. Trump is ahead. But is it going to be a landslide? Very close margin? What is it going to look like at the end of the day? Very hard to tell.
Stay on with me. This is interesting. What you're telling us is also reflecting on the trends and numbers that are coming in. That Trump is winning in Florida. And this is, remember, one of the big states as well, the Sunshine State, it's called. Kamala Harris, meanwhile, sweeping Illinois. Surging ahead, Donald Trump is leading in over 100. Already winning Mississippi. Kamala is lagging behind. Tell me this, as the counting of votes also is underway, Geeta, that the South, so to say, again appears to be going the red way like it has been known to do. But does this also mean if Trump leading in or almost winning in Florida, where possibly is Kamala Harris, according to your information, doing better, doing well? But it's reflective of a classic trend for America, where we have seen how the usual trends have been for the red or blue, as we call it.
Well, that's right. The traditional states remain strong bastions
Yes.
of Republicans and of Democrats. That really has not changed. If you look at the numbers and if you look at the states that have actually gone to polls, nothing has changed in the red and the blue. It is, again, the swing states that are going to be, that will make a huge difference. Although there were reports about Iowa, and we are yet to see whether if Iowa has gone Kamala Harris's way or not. But right here, as of now, and what we're looking at is the states that were all red are going Trump's way, and they've been called early. So, which is why you're seeing an increased bump in numbers for Donald Trump. And unless and until a red state flips or a blue state flips, there is going to be not much to really discuss apart from focusing on the swing states. So we are not looking at, there are no chances right now that we see of the red states and the blue states flipping.
Okay.
So what we're looking at, whether if the swing states are going to go which way.
Geeta, which are the swing states?
For now,
can you tell us? Which are the few among the 7, which are perhaps the crucial, according to you, that could actually decide and where the election could actually just go the other way?
So initially, the conversation was the most important swing state, Pooja, is Pennsylvania. Should Trump get Pennsylvania, it'll be a 19 bump on his seat count, the electoral seat count, and that certainly will give him the push all the way up to win the elections itself. But Pennsylvania is considered or was considered a Democratic state. Trump, when he won Pennsylvania, he won with a very, very narrow margin. And then last election, Biden won Pennsylvania. That was also with just a 1-point margin. This time around, there is anti-incumbency. There are issues that Pennsylvania is not very happy about, especially the statements made by Kamala Harris just ahead of the election campaigning, where she spoke about banning fracking. There is fracking that happens in Pennsylvania. They were not happy about it. Then she went on damage control mode, promising that they're not going to ban fracking, but not many are believing her. Should she come to power, maybe the decisions on climate change, environment are going to look very different. And therefore, Pennsylvania has a lot to think about if they're voting Democrat, if they're voting blue.
In fact, where you're standing, Geeta, isn't it true that Florida also has been in sometimes over the years a swing state? It has supported Democrat candidate, it supported Obama, and
Absolutely.
then it also is yes, it's turning red. But I also, while I was researching, I found out that dating back to at least 1960.
It was
yes.
Pooja, traditionally a Democratic state.
Correct. And then how it appears to be turning red over the years. Only 3 candidates have found themselves in the White House without a Florida victory. And that's been the Democrat candidates: Joe Biden, 2020, Bill Clinton, 1992, and John F. Kennedy in 1960. Geeta, stay on with me. Rohit Sharma also joining me. Rohit, the day finally here. So voting process, everything is over. Counting has started. Tell us why is it that, unlike India, the final counting may actually take days? Is that correct also, or everything will be decided in the next few hours?
Hey, Pooja, this is election night in Washington, D.C. Only happens once in 4 years. So I'm soaking it all in, and I heard you guys talk about these states, very important states. I'm trying to contain my excitement here. Yes, to answer your question, yes, it could take up to days. Last time around in 2020, we saw those mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania. In Arizona, took forever to be counted. So it is very possible. All the polls suggest that this is going to be a very close election. So yes, it is possible that there might be a possibility that we may not know tonight who's going to win. But going by traditional voting that's coming out, or the electoral college votes that have come out and been allocated or projected winners, both Harris and Trump, it looks like we're headed that path where we might not know tonight who's going to win. I just spoke to somebody on the Harris campaign, and they told me that Vice President Kamala Harris is going to be making a speech at 11 p.m. Eastern in Harvard University. Now, this is way before any of those results could actually project a winner. So I think the understanding with the campaign is that we may not know who's going to be a winner. He's just going to come out here, address the supporters, and then go back. So, yes, it is a very, very, very important possibility. But the other way around, what I'm hearing from sources in the Republican sense is that Trump might just come out and claim victory. But we are probably headed down to the 2020 path again.
Already, are you saying even before final results have been announced, Trump will come out to say that he's the winner?
I was told by one person on the Republican campaign that Trump will come out later and he might just say, look, I'm winning. He's just waiting to get ahead in this results, and he's going to probably come out and do that tonight.
All right, so there's a lot of political posturing already. We are showing you on the screens the red and the blues of America, and then there are the swing states. Rohit, how was the day like? Did you see long queues? Did you see women voters a lot that we've been talking about in the backdrop of the Roe versus Wade judgment overruled, the abortion laws? Men, what was your assessment when the men came out to vote? Tell us about what the day looked like to you.
People came on to vote. We've seen a major election. The polling center, we saw immigrants came out.
I'll come back to you. There's a slight network issue. We are coming back to you. Geeta continues to stay with us. Geeta, you've covered India's elections, America's elections. What kind of differences or key takeaways do you think that you've seen in the USA? It's a different kind. It's a multi-layer, multi-phase. But on the election day, what was your assessment like?
Well, it is very different. One is that you don't see the numbers. You don't see the population. You don't see long queues like you see in India. That's a huge difference. They do come in. They trickle in through the day. Very nicely, calmly come in, take their time, vote and go. In fact, we were at the Morton and Barbara Mandel Recreation Center, which is where Trump was going to vote. And despite the fact that he was going to be there, the Secret Service had cleared out the area, sanitized the area. But people who were coming in to vote were not being stopped. It's not like they were being asked to stay and were not being allowed in. They were being allowed in, they were going in, and they were voting and coming out. Things did not stop or come to a standstill just because a VIP or a very high security individual was going in to vote. Again, in terms of the counting, in terms of voting itself, and in terms of how the election process really works, it's very different. And I'm giving an example. So imagine if we were only to look at voting percentages and numbers across Uttar Pradesh, and the 80 seats goes just to one party because that party has won more numbers in the entire state rather than per constituency win, and that's what happens over here. So they calculate the entire votes that come in for the state, the electoral college votes, and whoever wins more votes gets the entire state. So Pennsylvania, 19 electoral seats will go to one party. It's not split between Republicans and Democrats, as is the case in UP, where in India, where you'd have 80 seats divided among the Congress, Bharatiya Janata Party,
Geeta,
Sapa,
as we speak, more details are coming in. Look at that. Kamala Harris projected to win New Jersey. This is one of the most important, remember, specifically with regard to whether it's the diversity, the immigrants who've settled here in the New Jersey area, or the kind of job opportunities, the changes that we have seen. But Donald Trump projected to win Arkansas. So remember, right now, as you can see, every state either has a lead or already, in many ways, victory of Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. So it's still neck and neck like it was projected to be. So which would be the states then that could actually define about the results coming in for the USA? Rohit, so, it looks like New Jersey could be going Kamala Harris's way. Do you want to tell me why do you think that's happening? New York, New Jersey, these are some of the busiest areas where, is it the immigrant quotient, do you think, working here?
Well, traditionally these states have always voted for Democratic leaders, so no surprises there, Pooja. Nobody expected her to lose New Jersey. I mean, look, I don't even remember when Kamala Harris went to New Jersey to campaign in this election cycle. She only had 100 days, and it's a given that she's going to win this state. But the demographic in that particular state, Pooja, and you're right, a lot of immigrant population, a lot of progressive that dominate that New Jersey, New York area. So I'm not really surprised. But this is how election works in America. I mean, we'll probably see tonight. When Texas comes out, it's going to be red. Donald Trump is going to win it. Why? It's a conservative state. A lot of Republicans live there. It's one of those states that Republicans know they can win. I don't even honestly. I think Trump went there twice, if I'm not mistaken, in the last 3 months, because he doesn't really need to campaign there. People there believe in the Republican ideology. People there know what their values are and what the candidates' values are, and they stand with that. And they align with those values. So unless and until there's a big surprise that could happen. I mean, you got to go back all the way to 1988 when Reagan had flipped the map, and it really isn't going to be any surprises in some of these states that we are reporting early. And Pooja, another thing, right? I also want to remind our viewers that these are not actual election results. These are projected winners based on data that is coming in, based on data from 2020 and previous election, based on the exit polls these networks have conducted, including agencies like AP and Reuters. So expected lines, she's supposed to win New Jersey. Yes, there was a lot of cheer that went up where we are at Kamala Harris's watch party, but I think everybody is patiently waiting for those swing states. Also important to know that, we talked about the Latino voters, right? There are a lot of Latino voters that live in New Jersey, a lot of Latino voters that live in New York, but they have, or at least from what we are looking at right now, they have voted on expected lines. So, a lot of talk about how Kamala Harris has lost, Latino votes and African American votes, at least not in these states. And that's a good sign for Kamala Harris's campaign right now.
Rohit, stay on with me. Like you're correctly mentioning, with the sort of consistently, right, either opinion polls, previous numbers, what is it looking like as a projected victory? We've also decided to have a dashboard to help you understand, because this is not exactly our country's elections, but this is also the elections of a country that has often decided which way the world goes. And I'm not exaggerating when it says, whether it's about conflicts, world issues, political, strategic and more, America has played a crucial role. And whether it's a Democrat or a Republican who wins, it actually decides then the geopolitical relationships as well, specifically with India. So let's go across. For example, we've been consistently mentioning about Florida. So here, I want to tell you about Florida, which now increasingly has turned red state. Red basically means conservative, Republican. That's what the symbol usually means. So now, according to the results coming in, it looks like that it's Donald Trump who's leading. Kamala Harris lagging behind, 57.5% almost going to Donald Trump. And you can see how primarily, while there are parts of it that could have gone blue as well, but most of it appears to be going towards red. And this is one of the reasons I've urged voters to vote for her. But then there was also Jill Biden in red that sent social media in a tizzy asking if she could have voted for Trump. So take us through some of these incidents on the sidelines. Apart from the results, what did you pick up? What has been the interesting tidbits coming in from the USA?
Well, look, social media, they don't, honestly, it is funny that somebody would think that Jill Biden would have ended up voting for Trump. But again, it's social media in the end. We're seeing a lot of people, in Kamala Harris's rally right now. It's actually getting a little chillier here. And the mood is also getting a little somber. I've seen a lot of people walking towards indoors right now. This rally is getting on the outside. So I think, what's going on essentially right now is the realization among some of the people here that she has a very, very tough path. I mean, she has to win Virginia, which is her state, and she should have won this handsomely. And after that, she has to hold the blue wall, which again is going to be very close. So we do not know where this is headed right now, but definitely not the path, early path, I should say, that Kamala and the campaign people would have wanted. Now, as far as, we were talking about Jill Biden and Joe Biden, some people have said it. Last month, there was a report that came out that, President Biden thought that he still was the best candidate. He was made to drop out of this race. So if Kamala Harris loses this election, we'll probably see a lot of tell-all books that'll come from the supporters of Biden and what unfolded and, who pushed them out. Look, and one interesting aspect also, Pooja, is somebody that I spoke to a week ago when I was in Pennsylvania. And they said, the race is definitely close. But the fact is, when you had Kamala on top of the ticket, that basically made sure that those voters who do not see
and Rohit,
Vice President Kamala Harris, a female as a president, would never vote for her. And that could be a factor why we're seeing this result so close.
I think this is the 7 swing states eventually where each of these candidates have kept their hopes high. I want to also end this bulletin on a note, and Rohit continues to stay with us when we return, that America may or may not have its first president. Remember, India has been led by women for years and generations, so it's not new for us, but USA perhaps is still deciding and debating on that. That's something to think about. I'm wrapping up this bulletin. When we return, we tell you more about us. More and more results are coming in, and it's getting solidified either for Democrats or for the red states. Eventually, it's about who gets to lead USA for the next 4 years. After a very short break, stay tuned. It's a special telecast. There are big faces that have come in. So let's go across on the ground and get a live update, because India today for this crucial election is right there on ground zero. To help you understand what is it looking like, India Today's foreign affairs editor Geeta Mohan joins me. Geeta, what a crucial moment for the USA. What are you picking up? What is happening right now? And US elections are very different from how elections are held in India. So do tell us about what is the procedure and the sentiment on the ground. Are there long queues?
Well, the queues are almost over, Pooja, because polling is over, and you don't see the kind of queues that you see in India only because of the population difference. But yes, they did come out and vote. A lot of enthusiastic voters. The problem over here in the United States of America is low voter turnout, and getting people to come out and actually vote is a challenge. However, Republicans are more mobilized, they're more organized, and they do come out to vote. It's a massive democratic challenge to really get the Democrats out to vote. We do not really know what the numbers really say. And while President Trump is leading, that certainly does not mean that he's winning, because Pennsylvania has not been called. He has done well so far, but it's all red states or all blue states. We have to wait for the swing states and the results from the swing states. And even in the swing states, we do know that there are certain states that are going to go Trump's way. It's Pennsylvania that could make a huge difference in who is going to get to the Oval Office. I'm here. We are the only Indian channel to be at the Republican Watch Party, and it's a very interesting forum. We have all the Republican supporters right here behind me who've come to watch the election results. There are massive screens that have been put up, and then there is a stage that is set up where President Trump himself will be coming to address his supporters, whichever way the results go. For now, most of the supporters over here very, very enthusiastic, very positive, but they're also a little fearful of what could happen. They haven't forgotten what happened last time around, and so they're waiting for the results. All eyes on Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania, because of certain problems with regards to barcodes, the judge allowed 2 extra hours of voting. So Pennsylvania is yet to close. And once that happens, counting will begin. Meanwhile, we're looking at a lot of states that are coming in. And for now, Trump is leading. Trump is ahead. But is it going to be a landslide? Very close margin? What is it going to look like at the end of the day? Very hard to tell.
Stay on with me. This is interesting. What you're telling us is also reflecting on the trends and numbers that are coming in, that Trump is winning in Florida. And this is, remember, one of the big states as well, the Sunshine State, it's called. Kamala Harris, meanwhile, sweeping Illinois. Surging ahead, Donald Trump is leading in over 100, already winning Mississippi. Kamala is lagging behind. Tell me this, as the counting of votes also is underway, Geeta, that the South, so to say, again appears to be going the red way like it has been known to do. But does this also mean if Trump leading in or almost winning in Florida, where possibly is Kamala Harris, according to your information, doing better, doing well? But it's reflective of a classic trend for America, where we have seen how the usual trends have been for the red or blue, as we call it.
Well, that's right. The traditional states remain strong bastions of Republicans and of Democrats. That really has not changed. If you look at the numbers and if you look at the states that have actually gone to polls, nothing has changed in the red and the blue. It is, again, the swing states that are going to be, that will make a huge difference. Although there were reports about Iowa, and we are yet to see whether if Iowa has gone Kamala Harris's way or not. But right here, as of now, and what we're looking at is the states that were all red are going Trump's way, and they've been called early. So, which is why you're seeing an increased bump in numbers for Donald Trump. And unless and until a red state flips or a blue state flips, there is going to be not much to really discuss apart from focusing on the swing states. So we are not looking at, there are no chances right now that we see of the red states and the blue states flipping.
Okay.
So what we're looking at, whether if the swing states are going to go which way.
Geeta, which are the swing states?
For now,
can you tell us? Which are the few among the 7, which are perhaps the crucial, according to you, that could actually decide and where the election could actually just go the other way?
So initially, the conversation was the most important swing state, Pooja, is Pennsylvania. Should Trump get Pennsylvania, it'll be a 19 bump on his seat count, the electoral seat count, and that certainly will give him the push all the way up to win the elections itself. But Pennsylvania is considered, or was considered, a Democratic state. Trump, when he won Pennsylvania, he won with a very, very narrow margin. And then last election, Biden won Pennsylvania. That was also with just a 1-point margin. This time around, there is anti-incumbency. There are issues that Pennsylvania is not very happy about, especially the statements made by Kamala Harris just ahead of the election campaigning, where she spoke about banning fracking. There is fracking that happens in Pennsylvania. They were not happy about it. Then she went on damage control mode, promising that they're not going to ban fracking, but not many are believing her. Should she come to power, maybe the decisions on climate change, environment are going to look very different. And therefore, Pennsylvania has a lot to think about if they're voting Democrat, if they're voting blue.
In fact, where you're standing, Geeta, isn't it true that Florida also has been in sometimes over the years a swing state? It has supported Democrat candidate, it supported Obama, and then it also is yes, it's turning red. But I also, while I was researching, I found out that dating back to at least 1960.
It was Pooja, traditionally a Democratic state.
Correct. And then how it appears to be turning red over the years. Only 3 candidates have found themselves in the White House without a Florida victory. And that's been the Democrat candidates: Joe Biden, 2020, Bill Clinton, 1992, and John F. Kennedy in 1960. Geeta, stay on with me. Rohit Sharma also joining me. Rohit, the day finally here. So voting process, everything is over. Counting has started. Tell us why is it that, unlike India, the final counting may actually take days? Is that correct also, or everything will be decided in the next few hours?
Hey, Pooja, this is election night in Washington, D.C. Only happens once in 4 years. So I'm soaking it all in, and I heard you guys talk about these states, very important states. I'm trying to contain my excitement here. Yes, to answer your question, yes, it could take up to days. Last time around in 2020, we saw those mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania. In Arizona, took forever to be counted. So it is very possible. All the polls suggest that this is going to be a very close election. So yes, it is possible that there might be a possibility that we may not know tonight who's going to win. But going by traditional voting that's coming out, or the electoral college votes that have come out and been allocated or projected winners, both Harris and Trump, it looks like we're headed that path where we might not know tonight who's going to win. I just spoke to somebody on the Harris campaign. and they told me that Vice President Kamala Harris is going to be making a speech at 11 p.m. Eastern in Harvard University. Now, this is way before any of those results could actually project a winner. So I think the understanding with the campaign is that we may not know who's going to be a winner. He's just going to come out here, address the supporters, and then go back. So, yes, it is a very, very, very important possibility. But the other way around, what I'm hearing from sources in the Republican sense is that Trump might just come out and claim victory. So we are probably headed down to the 2020 path again.
Already, are you saying even before final results have been announced, Trump will come out to say that he's the winner?
I was told by one person on the Republican campaign that Trump will come out later and he might just say, look, I'm winning. He's just waiting to get ahead in this results, and he's going to probably come out and do that tonight.
All right, so there's a lot of political posturing already. We are showing you on the screens the red and the blues of America, and then there are the swing states. Rohit, how was the day like? Did you see long queues? Did you see women voters a lot that we've been talking about in the backdrop of the Roe versus Wade judgment overruled, the abortion laws? Men, what was your assessment when the men came out to vote? Tell us about what the day looked like to you. Texas, Ohio, Nebraska, North Dakota, and South Wyoming as well. These have been traditionally, most of them have been the red states, so to say, or have been supportive of the Republican conservative politics. For the Democrat, Kamala Harris, it's again the ones that they were possibly expecting. New Jersey, New York, we're also hearing of Washington right now, Rhode Island, Connecticut, and more, where the blue is becoming heavier as the color. But it's the 7 swing states that's going to be the focus. These states, remember, are where they have shown unpredictable results. Pennsylvania, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, North Carolina, Wisconsin. And this is constantly, as we are tracking, there are changes, updates, and a very close call. For example, 49% each going to each of these candidates. 47th President of the United States of America, who will decide how the relationship with other nations in a war-like scenario from West Asia and then Russia, Ukraine, India's growing relationship, economy, immigration, and more will be on agenda.
Our Republicans, we're doing really well. If you're in line, stay in line. Don't let them take you off that line. Vote. Stay on the line. They can't do anything about it. And vote. We're going to win it big. Thank you. Republicans, we're doing really well. Stay online, don't get offline, and vote. Make sure you get through and vote. We're going to have a big victory tonight. Well, it'll be just that. We want to bring everybody in. We want to be very inclusive, and we will be very inclusive. We have a great country, but we have a country that's in trouble. It's in big trouble in many ways, and we have to straighten it out. We have crime is through the roof. We have people pouring through our borders that are not exactly perfect. They come out of prisons. 13,000 people convicted of murder. We don't need this in our country. We have enough difficulty. We don't need that. So I think people saw that. And it just seems that the conservatives are voting very powerfully. It should never happen. A thing like that should never happen. This election should be over. They spend all this money on machines. And frankly, if they'd use paper ballots, it would be over by 10 o'clock. And by the way, the paper ballots would cost 8%, would be 8% of the cost. If they would use paper ballots, voter ID, proof of citizenship, and one-day voting, it would all be over by 10 o'clock in the evening. It's crazy. They use these very expensive computers, and I'm hearing in Pennsylvania they won't have an answer till 2 or 3 days from now. I think it's an absolute outrage if that's the case. Now, maybe it'll be later, but it's paper ballots in France. They went paper ballots because the mail-in was not working. It was corrupt. And in France, they went paper ballots. And at 10 o'clock in the evening, they had 37 million votes counted and done. They had a winner, they had a loser. And in this country, I mean, I'm just hearing that in certain states, it's going to be a long time, and it won't even be close. It won't even be that close. They say, I'm going to win the state, but it's going to take a long time to certify it.
I'm hopeful that Trump wins because I know that he provides results. You know, he doesn't just talk about this and that. he provides results, and that's why, you know, I'm supporting him.
The popular vote has to be Donald Trump because more people have common sense than not, and I feel that Trump is, dominated.
Well, I agree. I think I feel good about it. Just watching the polls and talking to people and looking at the signs and the rallies. I mean, it's hard to say that he's not going to win this thing. So, but anything can happen. I think the world is, it's important for not only the United States, but the world.
I think that Kamala Harris will be winning today. I have no doubt in my mind that Kamala Harris is about to be the next president of the United States, the first woman president. A woman is very much needed to run this country. And let me be very clear, okay? Donald Trump wanted us to go back to a place that we used to be. But as Kamala Harris says, we're not going back.
Having a black woman almost becoming the president of the United States is so important to me because I'm a black woman, double minority, and I feel like being able to see somebody in this position who looks like me is so important. She's going to represent me and my rights.
All right, joining me now from India Today's newsroom is our news director Rahul Kanwal, who I know since morning has been tracking all the latest, what's been buzzing across, specifically with the elections. Rahul, what is your assessment? What do you think it's looking like? It's a close call in some, while Trump is clearly leading in most of the red states. Go ahead.
At this time, the New York Times is predicting that there's an 84% chance that Donald Trump will once again be president of the United States. Only the second man in history to have a gap term and then come back again to be president. We'll try and make sense for our viewers on India Today about where Trump is getting these numbers from. So of the Electoral College in the United States, 242 votes currently in favor of Donald Trump, 108 in favor of Kamala Harris. But the big problem seems to come from that very crucial battleground state of Pennsylvania. If I take you through the live numbers for Pennsylvania, at this moment, Donald Trump is leading with 51% of the votes that have been counted. Kamala Harris has 48.1% of the votes that have been counted. If this trend continues, 57% of the votes have been counted so far. If this trend continues, it would be a massive setback for the Harris campaign, given the intensity of the ground game that the Democrats put all across Pennsylvania, the number of rallies that Kamala Harris did. Pennsylvania is crucial if Kamala Harris is to have any chance to win. Apart from Pennsylvania, if I take you through some of the other battleground states, in Michigan, where 24% of the votes have been counted so far, Kamala Harris with a very comfortable 51.5% of the votes counted versus 46.7% for Donald Trump. Relative lead here for Michigan. She needs to win Michigan. She also needs to win in Wisconsin. If I take you through the votes, just look at the gap there, 49.8 versus 48.7. That's how tight this election has been. So much has been said so far about exit polls, pre-polls. The fact is, this is a mighty tight election, which is why the results suggest. So what you've got across the rest, the Sunbelt states in the heartland of the United States, very solidly red. You've got some pockets of blue. If you're looking at this election with not much skin in the game except just to try and find out who's winning, at this moment, Pooja, it looks quite solidly that Donald Trump has by far the more advantageous position in the votes that have been counted so far. In 2020, Joe Biden had 303 Electoral College votes versus 235 for Donald Trump. If you compare with the 2020 elections, so far, Donald Trump is 226, 108 for Kamala Harris. But the advantage is he's been able to flip one. Pennsylvania, they're ahead, and he's been able to flip one. So this is the way it stands. 188 Electoral College votes still to be counted. So 50 currently being considered a toss-up. As of now, it seems Donald Trump is heading towards becoming the next president of the United States. Pooja.
Rahul, tell me this, and for the viewer possibly wondering, for the USA that we are tracking so closely, why do these elections matter globally with regard to relationship with India? Because whoever wins will also decide possibly how global opinions are also shaped up and the kind of uncertain times that we are living in right now.
Well, I had a very elaborate conversation with some of the key decision makers at the apex of India's national security architecture. And while at a more macro level, the Modi government seems to be not so worried about who comes to power, there are very important tactical differences in how the relationship will play out over the next 4 years. With Kamala Harris, there'll be broad strategic continuity. That's the sense that the key policymakers in the Modi government seem to have. Whereas with someone like a Donald Trump, the relationship is far more transactional, it's far more unpredictable. And while if he raises tariffs, which he's promised to do, it creates more tension between China and the United States, which in some ways is good for India. America improving its relationships with Vladimir Putin and Russia again is good for India because that takes Russia slightly away from China's grip, which again, from an Indian geopolitical position is advantageous. But the fact is that Trump will push the Trump agenda very strongly. Currently, the balance of trade between India and the United States skews towards India, and therefore he's been calling India tariff king, so we can expect some pushback, and that will continue till the time the balance of trade gets restored to some kind of parity which suits Trump. So he's not going to be easy to deal with. The good side, though, is that he seems to like Prime Minister Modi. There's a certain awe he seems to reflect, the kind of crowds that came to Howdy Modi. Trump was clearly amazed by those. He sees Prime Minister Modi's popularity. So at the personal level, there is that bonhomie and chemistry which would be advantageous. But in just the kind of personality he is, there will be more landmines that will need to be navigated.
Rahul, I do have one more question. What do you think is possibly the reason that despite the kind of hype in the campaign we saw, Donald Trump is leading with such a margin in so many states? Do you think possibly America is still not ready for a woman president and a president of color? Or do you think it's because of the issues of Donald Trump?
If you look at the NBC poll which came out just before voting started, 74% of overall respondents said they didn't like the direction in which America was going. Looked at in an Indian context, that shows a very high level of anti-incumbency. 75% of your voters don't like the direction in which this is going. If this hadn't been Donald Trump, if this had potentially been some other Republican candidate, they may have had it easier because after 4 years of Joe Biden being in power, the level of anti-incumbency was very high. It's also because of all the mistakes that Donald Trump has made. A comedian coming on his stage, mocking Puerto Ricans, the entire Puerto Rican community, then getting massively agitated, and they're big players and present in high numbers in a key battleground state like Pennsylvania. And those kind of mistakes is what's made this election more compelling. Otherwise, it might have been easier for another Republican candidate. But the fact is that Donald Trump has, despite all his limitations, his limited ground game, remember Donald Trump being outspent by Kamala Harris by a factor of 3 almost. So Democrats had a stronger ground game. They outspent him in terms of the money that is available. Donald Trump outsourced a lot of his campaign. Elon Musk has been helping him. Other PSEs have been helping him. So despite outsourcing a lot of his campaign, if this is where things stand, it just shows you a lot about how badly divided the United States is at this moment. Pooja.
Very interesting. I appreciate you joining us, Rahul, this morning, bringing us these numbers, perspective, and how and which way possibly the elections are going to go. I'll keep coming back to you in a short while. And this is important, remember. This is important to understand that as much as this election is of the USA, it is as much for how perhaps the global views, opinions, and deals that are going to shape up in the years to come. India Today's managing editor Gaurav Sawant also is joining us now in this morning telecast. Gaurav, what do you think that the reason that we see the kind of shift it's going toward Donald Trump, even though Kamala Harris is winning Washington, D.C., New Jersey, New York, these are the big cities, and yet majority of the states right now appear to be going the red way?
You know, the point that Rahul just made about 74% of the United States of America not being very happy with the way things are going. The final push made by Donald Trump, where he used the same Ronald Reagan line of 1980, are you better off today than you were 4 years ago? If not, vote for change. That's a message that seems to be going across. What's working in favor of Kamala Harris to a very large extent are the women voters who've turned up in large numbers and they've voted. But what appears to be working for Donald Trump, and still it's too soon, to say one way or the other decisively, is the fact that it's not just the white voter, as they say, but also the African American male voter, the Hispanic male voter, the Asian male voter, the second generation Indian American male voter, to a very large extent, they seem to have been working for Donald Trump. That last minute push also made by Elon Musk, asking men to come out and vote in large numbers as if their life depended on it. And the push that's constantly on, that's very interesting. But again, in the end, it's the swing states, the 7 swing states that will decide. And so many of them still look so close to call, especially all eyes remain on Pennsylvania, not just on Pennsylvania, but districts and counties in Pennsylvania, and what way are they voting. So it just becomes very, very interesting.
Gaurav, a quick question also with you here. Because either it's Kamala Harris or Donald Trump. My curiosity will be how they will deal with India, fastest growing economy, not the old India they can just literally give orders to. How do you think that relationship will shape up? How should it shape up in the years to come, whether it's trade deals or otherwise as a strategic relationship?
If you look at India-America relationship, and I've covered this relationship right from the time of the Pokhran tests in 1998 to the Kargil war in 1999, and the dramatic shift in India-America relationship when Bill Clinton was the president of the United States of America, his visit to India during the Atal Bihari Vajpayee government, then that big push when Dr. Manmohan Singh was Prime Minister of India and George Bush was the President of the United States, and that civil nuclear deal happened, and then Barack Obama and Narendra Modi, Donald Trump and Narendra Modi, Joe Biden and Narendra Modi, the relationship was always on a high, except this last couple of months, or perhaps this year, of the last year of Joe Biden. That's the time that America started interfering in a very big way in India's internal affairs, as many in India argue. That's the time when things started happening in India's neighborhood, where America was blamed, like in Bangladesh, and where a democratically elected government was overthrown in this so-called coup, or a students' revolution, where you have Islamist jihadis who are virtually running the country.
Gaurav, this is getting more clearer now as the hours progress. Donald Trump has taken the lead even in the swing states. Michigan and Wisconsin, and many were, the commentators who've been speaking to since morning have been saying that Wisconsin, Michigan are going to be important apart from Pennsylvania. Donald Trump has taken the lead in the 2 swing states. He's also ahead with the electoral votes, which is about 210. Kamala Harris has about 113 votes for now. She's crossed the century mark, but 270 is the majority figure, where clearly we can see Donald Trump already almost there with the 270 figure. There's an electoral college, remember, apart from how the numbers that get them the state's victory as well. So that's the big news coming in right now, that even in the swing states, the 7 states where both of these teams are going to keep their focus on, that's where Donald Trump, at least in the 2 of the 5, have taken a massive lead. But remember, there are 5 more to go. Elections are not yet declared. It can actually change over the next few hours as well. For now, the predictions coming in, it could be Donald Trump, but Kamala Harris and her team keeping the hope high as well. All right, I want to thank Gaurav for joining us with the perspective specifically on how the relationship would be with India. And I keep mentioning India because it's not just a connect of 2 nations. It's literally of the candidates, their outreach, their discourse has been. While Donald Trump, remember, mentioned about, for example, Hindus in Bangladesh, Kamala Harris has been consistently talking about the Indian connect, her immigrant background, and how that has resonated with the Indian Americans on the ground. So let's try and understand all of these layers that have come in for America's elections. Joining me in this panel this morning, Sushant Sareen. He's a senior fellow ORF and also is a strategic affairs expert and has been tracking India-US relationship for decades now. Joining me from on the ground, Lenka White. She's a journalist, and NYC, where Kamala Harris is showing the lead. That's where she is. Also, Dr. Harinder Sekon is joining me, consultant, Vivekananda International Foundation. Lenka, good morning. I come to you right now, almost midnight there, and yet I think people are out on the streets. New York City, what are you looking at? What are you picking up? Tell us more.
Hello, Pooja. Good morning to everyone. So I'm right now in New York City. I'm at a Republican club event. It's full of young Republicans. I don't know if you can see much, but they are all standing behind me. These guys are actually smoking outside, but there are about 500 of them inside this place. And of course, everyone is wearing Trump hat. You know, they are wearing Trump t-shirts. Everyone is watching the news and trying to follow what is going on. But as you already reported, the news are going well for Trump. He seems to be leading. He is having 210 right now. So not much is left. And of course, these people are very happy. But I have to mention, as everyone knows, New York is mostly blue state. So this is very rare to see so many Republican people at one place. You know, if you walk here in New York City with your Trump hat down to Manhattan somewhere, then you are probably going to get stopped at some point and asked, why do you have this Trump hat on you? So this is a very rare occasion here.
All the teams are out there, and Lenka, if it's convenient to you to continue to stay with us, I'll come back to you because Kamala Harris is showing victory and leads in Washington, D.C., in New York, in New Jersey. This is very important. Remember, these are the big international cities and states, so to say. But what about her whole connection with India that she's been talking about? While Kamala Harris waits for the final announcement, her ancestors, those who have known her and the family, hail from a tiny hamlet in Tamil Nadu. And India Today decided to go there, speak to people. Are they also tracking what's happening in the USA? One of their own, possibly becoming USA's next president. At the temple, where there are full-on prayers that have been going, Shilpa Nair got us this ground report. Let's take a look at that.
We are reporting from the Sri Dharmashastra temple in Tulasendrapuram, which is the ancestral village of US Democratic presidential candidate Kamala Harris. If I have to speak about this village, this is the village where Kamala Harris's maternal grandfather, P.V. Gopalan, used to live before he moved to Chennai. And this temple, it also has a stone board which mentions the name of Kamala Harris having donated rupees 5,000 for the temple consecration in the year 2013-2014. It also mentions the names of her aunt, Sarla Gopalan, and her grandfather, P.V. Gopalan, for donating money for the temple works and renovation works, etc. Now, as far as this temple is concerned, the villagers of Tulasendrapuram, they've been offering special prayers. Special pujas are being held in the mornings and in the evenings, praying for Kamala Harris's victory, because it's a high-stake battle that has, played out in the United States. And the results, of course, we're just hours away from knowing who will be the next US president. And I'm joined by the villagers here. It includes a local councillor, the villagers, and someone from US, Chicago. She's Joy. She's come from Chicago all the way to Tulasendrapuram, and she's taken a room right outside the temple and staying there for the night so that she can be associated in some way or the other to Kamala Harris on the day the US presidential election results would be out. You're rooting for Kamala Harris. Tell us why. Why do you think she'll make the next president, and why do you think that'll be the right choice as far as the US is concerned?
Well, Kamala is a uniter, and I believe that that's what we need. She's promised to have advisors from the Republican Party, and I also think that's what we need. Enough with the division. Let's unite.
Normally, Tamil Nadu insisting for women's empowerment. If she's come, just US, no. Sunita Williams, see. She's heading for US NASA space like that. Everyone, it inspiring every individuals, ladies. So normally, if she got elected, no. So Indo-US relation will be definitely improve.
That, of course, is the sense from the ground, the mood on the ground. All of them really praying for Kamala Harris's victory. It was not an easy election, and it has huge consequences and implications, not just for the US, but for the rest of for the world. And that's the reason why they say every prayer counts, and that's why we're stepping in, praying for Kamala Harris. And they say because of Kamala Harris, Tulasendrapuram has also, become more evident on the global map. With video journalist Daniel, this is Shilpa Nair for India Today.
So joining me live now from Tulasendrapuram is my colleague Shilpa Nair. Shilpa, far away from United States of America, all the excitement, curiosity buzzing there. This little hamlet in Tamil Nadu also is where they're wondering if Kamala Harris becomes the next American president. What are you picking up about the sentiment? Tell us about the connect. Has she been here to the village? Are they connected to the family in any way?
Well, yes, Pooja, miles and miles away from all the action is, this is Thulisendrapuram, a tiny little village in Tamil Nadu, nestled between lush green fields. This is a tiny village, and this is the ancestral village of Kamala Harris, and her grandfather, P.V. Gopalan, used to live in this village at one point in time before he moved to Chennai. And as far as this village is concerned, at present, there's no family member of Kamala Harris who lives here. All of them are in Chennai or other parts of the country, or in other parts of the world as well. But for the villagers here, it's a matter of pride that their daughter, they say she's a daughter of our soil, that she has gone on to become such a global leader. And in the mornings and in the evenings for the last couple of days, special prayers are being offered here at the temple. Special puja is also being offered, praying for her success. And these are banners that have been put up right outside the temple, wishing Kamala Harris the best and, success in this huge high-stake battle, that is played out in the United States. So a lot of villagers at present, the temple is empty. Later in the day, we're expecting pujas to take place. But we have with us Joy. We spoke to her earlier as well. She's been camping here in Thulisendrapuram just to be associated with Kamala Harris in some way or the other, on the day when the election results are out. Joy, tell us, why did you choose to come to Thulisendrapuram all the way from US?
Well, I've been visiting India for 3 months, and when I realized that I could be in this village for the American election, it just felt right. It felt in my heart like I should be here. So it called me.
We're seeing the early trends, trickling in, and it gives a lead to Donald Trump. Is that a cause of concern for people like you who've supported Kamala Harris through her campaign?
Yes, of course it is. I still feel like there is a path to victory if the blue wall holds.
But what will it mean for the U.S. if Kamala Harris is elected as president? What would it mean for people like you?
Well, we have some concerning trends in the United States. Reproductive rights have been stripped from women, and a lot of conservative fundamentalists are taking over the country. So I think it means that we'll return to normalcy, and women will be empowered again.
We saw the villagers offering prayers at this temple, and we saw you along with them. What is the sense that you're picking up from the ground, and what did you pray? We saw you praying at the temple as well.
Yes, I'm praying, of course. I prayed every day since Kamala has been...
All right, Shilpa, keep getting us these voices, and it's a reminder of how connected two different nations have been with these elections. I want to now go back to our news director, Rahul Kamal, for the latest on that. Rahul, what are the trends that you're also tracking? What do you think is happening? It looks like Trump is definitely leading in more and more states now.